How's it going, guys? My name's Shane. Welcome back to the Horror Basement, and today I have another new-ish horror movie for us to talk about. Today we're going to be talking about 2018's Hell is Where the Home Is, or as it is titled on Hulu, where I streamed this, simply Trespassers. Now it's not clear why this movie has two different titles, and it's listed under different ones various places online. But I just assumed that Hulu didn't want to put hell in the title of one of their movies, so they just put it as Trespassers. But this movie follows our main character, Sarah, and her boyfriend, Joseph. Now, Sarah and Joseph they've had some trouble in their relationship, and scratch that, I fucked up. They are actually married. So Sarah and her husband, Joseph, are renting a house out in the middle of nowhere to kind of unwind, have a little vacation, and Sarah has invited her best friend from college or high school or whatever, Estelle, and her boyfriend, Victor, to come stay with them. So, right off the bat, we get to become acquainted with all the characters. Sarah and Joseph, their marriage has been strained because, unfortunately, Sarah has recently had a miscarriage, and it's also discovered that Joseph has recently cheated on her, and they're trying to work through that. And then Estelle and Victor have their own problems, chiefly that Victor is an angry, abusive douchebag, and that they're both, like, fucking coke maniacs. Like, Estelle and Victor spend almost the entire first act of this movie doing big old rails of coke and messing around and having sex and all that shit. But their peaceful couples vacation / big old coke party is interrupted the first night they're there when they are visited by Fairuza Balk, the woman that played Nancy in The Craft. And you can go back, I reviewed The Craft a few months ago if you wanted to watch that video as well. That'd be pretty cool. But Fairuza Balk shows up, and her character is never actually named, so I'm going to continue to call her Fairuza Balk. Fairuza Balk claims to be a neighbor whose car has broken down, and she wants to come in and use the phone to call her son and let him know what's going on, and call a tow truck and all this. But quickly, once Fairuza Balk gets in, she starts acting real weird. She's kind of sneaking around, saying some crazy shit, not willing to leave. And Victor, finally, after getting fed up with this, which it doesn't take long because he has a very short temper, decides that the big, strong cokehead man he is going to physically accost this little old lady, which essentially Fairuza Balk is at this point, and rough her up a little bit and make her leave their rented property immediately. And in the ensuing struggle, Fairuza Balk falls face first onto a very fancy, very pointy glass oil container of some kind, and it goes directly through her eye into her brain, and she slumps to the floor immediately dead. Now you may be asking yourself, Shane, what does all this have to do with the scary Mexican gang member that is on the poster for this movie? He is the fellow wearing a Dia de la Muerta, or a candy skull mask, and looking all, masked and menacing. So as for a little spoiler, the scary Mexican gang members do not show up until the third act. This movie is a pretty effective subversion on the intruder or the home invasion genre. Because I thought going into this one, like, oh, this is basically going to be like a home invasion or a slasher film where there's 4 people there in a rented house and a bunch of killers show up, and the whole movie is them, like, fighting and trying to escape. But really, shit hits the fan way before the gang members show up, because realizing that he is essentially responsible for the death of Fairuza Balk, Victor grabs Fairuza's gun and starts waving it around, and also beating the shit out of his girlfriend Estelle. And in a coke-fueled panic, Victor, at gunpoint, forces the rest of the cast to help him hide the body of Fairuza Balk and cover up the blood, and he's going to try and figure a way out of this situation, and try to get himself not in trouble. But he learns that it turns out that the person that Joseph cheated on Sarah with was actually her friend Estelle. So he learns this information and excuse me, is threatening to kill Joseph and Estelle and all that. And Estelle ends up stabbing him in the stomach right as the cops show up. So Joseph drags Victor into the other room and holds the knife in his stomach with his other hand over Victor's mouth as he slowly bleeds out. And the rest of the movie follows the remaining three cast members as they have to deal with the police who have showed up in response to the call they placed about Fairuza Balk trespassing. And then also the Mexican gang members who show up and have their own objectives and goals that it turns out have absolutely nothing to do with the main cast, but it's all just like a wrong place, wrong time situation. And Sarah, Estelle, and Joseph have to fight their way out of the situation, leading to a third act full of a bunch of fight scenes, mayhem, a lot of machetes, a lot of guns, a lot of gore, and overall, I'd say this movie is pretty satisfying. You know, I came into it thinking like, oh, okay, this is some no-name slasher home invasion movie that I found on Hulu, and turns out it was actually really good, really well acted. There's a lot of techno music, which I found to be an odd choice, but weirdly, with the modern setting of this, like, party house setting, it weirdly works. And, yeah, I really enjoyed it, and it was cool seeing Fairuza Balk in something, because I really enjoyed the craft. And so overall, I would definitely recommend this movie. If you have some time, give it a watch. I know this is movies on Hulu, but all the movies I watch on Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu, all the like streaming services, they're going to go in this Netflix playlist because I don't feel like making a playlist for each streaming service. That's going to be it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, leave a comment. If you want to see me review any other movies, drop a suggestion down in the comments. Join the Basement Army by hitting that subscribe button today, and I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.